Okay, today we're going to learn how to play joint venture. What you basically do is use building materials to build streets, houses, businesses, and hotels. This is lumber, the hex, and the corresponding card, which is green. Blue is glass. Purple is iron. Gray is concrete. Orange is brick. And the special card, which is gold, is a wild card which can be used for any of the other 5 building materials. These are your gaming pieces. You get 12 streets, 5 houses, 4 businesses, 2 hotels, and a tornado. Everyone has their own color-coded gaming pieces. These are the pieces you build your game board with. You have 6 corners, 4 straight sides single, 8 straight sides double, 6 of which have banks on them. This is a game board layout for a 4-player game. It is corner, single, double with bank, corner, single, double, corner, double with bank, corner, single, double with bank, corner, single, double, corner, double with bank. This is your border configuration for the 6-player game. Corner, single, single, double with bank, corner, double, double with bank, corner, double with bank, corner, single, single, double with bank, corner, double, double with bank, corner, double with bank. Okay, now we're going to place the hexes on the game board. All the examples I use from now on are going to be for the 6-player game because we think the 6-player game packs the most action and most fun. For the 6-player game, the hexes you use are 6 gold, 8 concrete, 8 brick, 7 lumber, 7 glass, 7 iron. Take them, mix them all up, turn them upside down, scatter them around the board in a random fashion, and then turn them over, revealing your game board. There's your completed 6-player game board. Now it's time to put the numbers on the game board. We take our numbers and divide them into 3 piles. First 3 piles are 2s and 12s. There are 3 2s, 3 12s, and these are the numbers that you turn upside down and place them on the gold, because the gold has the worst numbers because it's such a valuable piece. The second pile is your 6s, 7s, and 8s. These are the most powerful numbers. You take these, turn them over, and place them on the game board randomly, but you have to make sure that these pieces do not abut each other because they are such important pieces. So put those on the game board without them being next to each other. Once you get the 6s, 7s, and 8s on the board, put the remaining pieces, which are the 3s, 4s, 5s, 9s, 10s, and 11s, upside down on the game board to reveal your final game board. Now the game board is built. You've laid the border. You've added the hexes. You've placed the numbers on top of the hexes. You are ready to move on to the rest of gameplay. Okay, here's the rest of the game pieces. You have your 2 dice, which are rolled to determine the number. You have the 12-sided dice, which has a lot of different action on it. You have 4 bonus point medallions. 1 point to the player who builds the 5 houses the first, 1 point to whoever builds 4 businesses first, 1 who builds 1 hotel first, and 2 points for which team at the end of the game has the longest street system. Okay, now it is time to learn how to build things. We have this informational cheat sheet that tells you how many cards it takes to build each of the game pieces. Here you have the street, here you have the house, and the business, and the hotel. When you build a street, you put it on the side of a hex. When you build a house, you put it at the intersection of hexes. Same thing with the business. And when you build a business, you can either build it on an intersection that's unoccupied, or you can replace one of your houses. Hotels built on intersections, and you can build it on an intersection unoccupied, or you can replace a business, or you can replace a house. All that information is contained on the build cheat sheet. Okay, now two things. One is, how do you get building cards? When the number is rolled, if it corresponds to the number on a hex that you're adjacent to, you collect a card. If the number 3 is rolled, that activates this hex. Lumber is distributed to anybody on any hexes that have a 3 on them. 1 for a house, 2 for a business, 3 for a hotel. Also very important to remember, you have to be separated by 2 streets to build a structure. Structures cannot be built next door to each other. It's part of the zoning law of the city. So make sure you don't build next to each other, or your opponent will call you out on it. Now there are 3 ways to get cards you do not have. When it is your turn or your partner's turn, you can give 1 card in your hand to your partner, and your partner can give 1 card to you. You can, or you don't have to. Second way, at any time during the game, you could trade 4 of one type of card in exchange for 1 other building material. But if you are adjacent to a bank, you have a better exchange rate. You can trade 3 cards for not a specific building material, but for a gold card, which is wild, that can be used for any of the other 5 building materials. Now, the 12-sided dice. Most of the sides of the dice are self-explanatory. A couple more need a little more explanation. One is lose turn. When you lose a turn, you can do nothing, your partner can do nothing. You just hand the dice to the next player and do nothing. The other one is next person loses turn. When that person loses their turn, all they do is they roll the white number dice. They do not roll the black dice. They roll the number dice so everybody else but them and their partner can collect cards, and then they pass the dice to the next person. The 2 that need the most explanation are lose cards. If you have more than 8 cards in your hand, you lose all cards over 8, but you can pick which ones you lose and which ones you don't lose. Also, you get rid of cards before you collect new cards. Then there is the tornado. The tornado is a great piece. If you roll Unleash the Tornado, you can place it under any number on the board, and whenever that number is rolled, whatever building material it sits on, you collect all the cards that would normally be distributed to other people. It could be 1 card, it could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards, depending on how many structures are located on that particular hex that's activated by the rolling of the dice. The next one is swap numbers. You get to swap any 2 numbers on the board, as long as those numbers are 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, and 11. So you take the weak numbers off of your hexes and replace them with strong numbers. The stronger numbers are 5 and 9, the weakest are 3 and 11. Swap any 2 numbers on the board. Okay, the last rule to know is the attack rule. 2 times you can use the attack rule. If you have a street next to an opponent's street, you can attack one of their streets and claim it as your own. What you have to do is pay 1 gold card to the bank, and then you and the opponent get to roll the dice to determine who wins. Each of you roll 1 dice 3 times, best 2 out of 3 win, and any tie goes to the defender. So the odds are in favor of the defender to defend. If you win and take over their road, then you get to replace that road with your own. But if you lose and the defender beats you, then they replace your road with their road. The second time that you can do an attack is you may want to attack a house. This costs you 2 gold cards. The same attack rules pertain. You attack here, roll the dice 3 times. The winner will determine what happens. If you win, whichever road attacked you from, you get to replace it with your own. But if they beat you, they get to put their house in place of your house. You might have a hex that they really want and need, and they will attack your house. You cannot attack a hotel, and you cannot attack a business. Okay, now you know the rules. There are more detailed rules contained in the informational book. Time to start the game. You start the game with each team placing 2 houses and 1 street on the game board. Roll the dice to see who goes first. The team that goes first will place a house on an intersection. The next player will then place their house on an intersection, down to the last player, who gets to place 2 in a row as you go in reverse order on the way back. So everybody place their first house in reverse order. Place your second house. Once everybody has placed 2 houses, the first player and their partner simultaneously will play 1 street in the direction they want to start. The second player and their partner, the third player and their partner, until everybody has placed 2 houses and 1 street on the game board. Okay, everybody has now placed 2 houses and 1 street on the game board. The next thing to do is collect the cards of the hexes you are adjacent to. The red player gets to collect a gold, lumber, and brick for this house, and a concrete, glass, and iron for this house. Everybody collects your initial playing cards. Okay, it's now time to play the game. The first player will roll the dice. In this case, they roll a 7, and it says unleash your tornado. So first, all hexes that have a 7 on them will give a card to whoever's adjacent. Here, the red player is next to a 7, they get an iron card. Here, the green player is adjacent to a lumber hex, they get a lumber card. Now, when the roller is playing, so does their partner. So both partners get to do the following. They can trade a card, they can exchange cards, they can build, and they can attack. They can do all the moves that they can during their turn. When they're done with their turn, they pass the dice to the player to the left, and play continues until one team gets 20 points. Okay, you know the rules of joint venture, you're ready to play the game, but what you're lacking is strategy because you haven't played yet. But you want to hit the ground running because you're competitive. So what I'm going to do in this video is give you some of the joint venture strategies that I've learned over playing the game more than 30 times. First thing is understanding the frequency that numbers will come up. The number that comes up most often is a 7, then 6, 8, then 5, 9, then 4, 10, then 3, 11, and no surprise, the 2, 12 come up the least. Why is that? Well, you have 2 dice. Each dice has 6 sides. When you roll 6 sides, you get 36 different combinations. 6 times out of 36, the 7 will come up. That's why there are 6 dots on the 7. 5 times out of 36, the 6 and 8 will come up. 4 times 5, 9, 3 times 4, 10, 2 times 3, 11, and only 1 time out of 36 rolls will the 2 come up or the 12 come up. Those are the numbers you want to go after, the 7s, 6, 8s, and on down. Now, not all building material are used as often as others. The 2 building materials used most often are concrete and brick. They're used to make streets, they're used to make houses, businesses. Most everything needs concrete and brick. The next 2 most important are the lumber and glass. They're used in houses and businesses a lot. The least used building material is iron, normally only used to build the hotel, but when you go to build a hotel, you do need a lot of iron. So those are the ones that are most important to me. I go for concrete, brick first, lumber, glass second, and then iron third. Now it's time to place your first house. First thing I look for are great numbers on the board, and I also want to place my first house on an intersection where I get 3 different building materials. Here the red team found an intersection that has 3 different building materials and has the absolute best numbers you can get to start the game, which is a 7 combined with 5s and 9s. That will give you, if you add up the dots, 14 dot intersection. Now the green team has found an intersection, 3 different building materials, and this is a 13 dot intersection, a 5 dot and 2 4 dots. Purple team's found an intersection, 3 different building materials, and they've got an 11 dot intersection. Count up the dots, that'll tell you how strong the intersection is, but then look at the building materials you get at the intersection, make sure you get 3 different ones. Also consider being close to your partner and access to a bank. The most important considerations are great numbers and 3 different building materials. Now it's time to place your second house on the board. For the red team, they've already got glass, brick, and iron. They need 2 more building materials. What they lack are concrete and lumber. So they've placed their second house here. Good numbers. They've got their concrete and lumber. They also have another iron, so they're going to be very strong on iron resources. Now looking at the green team, they've already got lumber, glass, and iron. What they are lacking is concrete and brick. They placed their second house over here, giving them access to concrete, brick, and they also now have access to gold. Gold is a poor number, but when you get a gold card, it works as a wild card. So they've opted to take a gold instead of getting a second of one particular resource. Also look at the red team. They're close to each other and they're going to start linking their roads up. And consider also how close are you to your partner for linking your street system up to get a great street system and maybe that 2-point bonus card, and how good of an access do you have to the bank. If you notice, the green team goes 2 links, can place a house here, have access to a bank and 2 building materials. Okay, time to place your first street. A lot of considerations. Do you head for good numbers so you could get more cards with better numbers? Do you head for the one building material that you have a weak number on? In this case, red. Weakest number is a 4 on lumber. They're going to be a little short on getting lumber. So did they head this way and go for a lumber? Do they head in to link up their road? Do they head for a bank? Those are all the considerations you got. In this case, what I think they're going to do is head this way to put another street there so they can build a house here, get 2 lumbers whenever that 4 hits. So those are the strategies when placing your first street. Now when building additional structures, here's a couple things to think about. If you build another house, you have no choice. You have to build it at the end of one of your streets, and you have to build it with 2 lengths of street between you and the next structure. That's when you build a house. No choice. When you build a business, you have an option. You can either replace a house or you can build it at the end of a street. Now, it's cheaper if you replace a house. You get better numbers if you replace the house, because remember, when you placed your first 2 houses, you went for the best numbers on the board, and so did everybody else. You get better numbers, it's cheaper, but you also lose a house. If you place it at the end of a street, you keep the house, and but you get a little less numbers, and it may not be the best play. Now, if you're going to build a hotel, you got 3 options. You can replace a business, cheaper, but you lose a 2-point business, but you get pretty good numbers. If you replace a house, it's cheaper, or it's a little more expensive than a business. You get better numbers, but you lose a 1-point house. Or you can go the most expensive route, build it at the end of a road, keep all your other structures, and get 3 points. And by the way, if you're the first to build that hotel, you get the 1-point bonus card. Now, when it's your turn, you and your partner both get to play, and you can give your partner 1 card, they can give you 1 card, or you don't have to give a card. It's up to you and your team. Now let's say this is your hand here. 2 lumber, 1 glass, 3 iron, and a brick. This is your partner's hand. They've got a lumber, glass, brick, and an iron. And they say, I am ready to build a house, but I need concrete. Can you give me a concrete? You say, sorry, I don't have any concrete. Here's a slick move. Your partner gives you an iron card. You don't need the iron in the game right now. You exchange the iron card for a concrete card, and then you give the concrete card to your partner. You each gave each other 1 card, but now your partner can use those 4 cards and build themselves a house. Now let's talk about strategy in what to build. Remember, you get 1 bonus point if you're the first to build 5 houses. So if you have a chance to build a business or a house, and let's say you don't have any businesses, but you got 4 houses, do you build that 2-point business? or do you build that 1-point house? I normally go for the house, take the 1-point bonus, they can't take it away from me, and that's my strategy. Sometimes I give up building businesses too early in the game to go for those 5 houses. I know one other player that just doesn't even bother going for a lot of houses. They go straight to businesses, try to get the 1-point bonus if they can build 4 businesses first, plus each business is worth 2 points, which adds up to 8 points. Another strategy, and I know another player, he loves to get that hotel first. He goes for the hotel first. You only have to build 1 hotel, not 2, to get that 1-point bonus for the hotel. So a lot of strategy is, what do you build when you take into consideration the bonus point medallions? Now we're going to talk about when you roll swap a number. What do you do? Remember, you cannot swap a 2 or a 12. You cannot swap a 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8 are too powerful. 2 and 12 are on the gold only. The only numbers you can swap are 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, and 11. What you want to do, the worst numbers are 3 and 11. This is you. You want to get rid of one of these 2. What you want to go get is a 5, 9. Those are the best numbers you can swap for. So in this case, you're going to take your 11, swap it for a 5. You've gotten stronger, your opponent's gotten weaker. You could also trade that 3 for the 5 or the 3 for the 9. It would have worked out the same way. Depends what building material you want to strengthen of yours. In this case, I opted for the concrete over the iron. And which one you want to weaken of theirs. Well, they weren't getting too much concrete. I don't want them to have any concrete, so I gave them the weak number on the concrete. Strengthen your position, weaken your opponent's position. That's how you swap a number. Now it's time to unleash your tornado. Tornado is a great game piece. What you do is place it under a number, and once you do that, you steal all the cards that number generates. If there was a business and a house on that, you would steal 2, and 1 you would steal 3. So where do you want to place this tornado? What I look for first is a great number. The second one is I'm looking for a building material that I need. Also considering what building material do I want to deprive the other team of. In this case, I'm the red team. I'm really looking for glass. So I'm going to place that tornado underneath the glass. So every time a 9 is rolled, however many structures around there, however many building materials the glass generates, I get all of those because my tornado is going to swoop them up. Now when loose cards comes up, what you want to do is not be totally destroyed by losing cards. Remember, you lose all your cards over 8. So what are some strategies to avoid losing too many cards? Well, one thing is go ahead and build. Don't save up for the big businesses and hotels. Build more houses and avoid stacking up a lot of cards. But sometimes you want to stack those cards up because you want the higher point structures. The other thing to do is if you can get to a bank, then you could trade 3 cards for gold cards and stack up gold cards, reducing the number of cards in your hands. A lot of strategy, just depends on how you want to play it so you don't lose too many cards when the lose cards dice is rolled. Okay, now some thoughts about going for the 2-point longest street system medallion. 3 considerations. One is, how close are you to your partner? In this case, if green and red were partners, they're not really close. Purple's going to cut them off. They may not want to go for that longest street system. But if red and purple were partners, they're right next to each other. They can build their street system together and probably go get that 2 points, which is a very valuable 2 points when it comes down to it. So that's one consideration. The other one is keep an eye on the other teams. Are they going for the longest street system or not? The other one to consider is it takes concrete and brick in order to build streets. Who's got the best access to concrete and brick? And even though you go for the street system, somebody else might be generating a lot more concrete and brick and be able to outbuild streets instead of you. A lot of considerations. Next thought is, should I go for a bank? Well, there's a couple of different ways to go for a bank. With the red house here, by building 2 streets, they have access to a bank, and that's pretty nice because they have access to 2 more building materials in addition to bank access. Should not have put a 6 next to that because you cannot have 6, 7s, and 8s next to each other. The other way to go about doing this is if you build your street there, your partner can build a street off of there, have bank access here, and you can build your street off of this and have bank access there. You both get bank access off of one bank, but the downside is you only get 1 building material instead of 2, and your partner only gets 1 building material instead of 2. Usually it's better if you each go for your own bank so you can place yourself at the apex of the bank and get 2 building materials along with bank access. But it depends how the game's developing. Maybe your partner has no access to bank and really could use it, so you share your bank with them. Okay, another quick strategy is shortening the number of streets you got to build in order to build another structure. Here the red team would think they need to build 2 streets in order to build another structure. But if they spur off of the road that they already have, they can build another house right there by only building 1 road instead of 2 roads. The problem with that road is that's not going to really add to your longest street system at all. But another thought is, well, yeah, it does add to my street system, because if I build my street system wrapping around like this and end up building a structure there, then I could start counting my street system from here and it all wraps around and I don't have to count the same street twice. So you can tie it in. Sometimes I really like the idea of spurring off a street so you can get your buildings built faster. Okay, the last strategy is when to use the attack. Now, in this case here, green is looking at attacking red because red has what will end up being probably the longest street system. So they're going to maybe build a street there and say, hey, I'm going to attack this street right here, putting that street in jeopardy. Now, it costs 1 gold card to launch that attack. And remember, the percentage chance of winning an attack is only 1/3, 33%. So that's one thing to do, is break up that longest street system by attacking a street, because if you win and take that street, you've broken their longest street system. The other time when you can attack is if you want to build a street up to one of their houses. That will cost you 2 gold cards. Same percentages, same rules attack, but if you can defeat and take that house away, you can put your own house there, and man, that is a game changer. So consider use of the attack. You don't want to do it too often. It's a losing proposition, but when it's successful, it's a game changer. Okay, thank you for taking the interest to learn how to play the game of joint venture. I hope you play many, many, many great, exciting games. And just because you made it to the end of the video, I want to show you the first vision of a 1-hex joint venture game. Not recommended for play with more than 1 person.